What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show. We discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below, as it's completely free to do so. And remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, thanks for hitting the like button for us down below. We're going to talk about what's going on here with Russia right now, and also, will there be more stimulus checks because of the price of gas, and also how bad the economy is doing right now. The stock market has fallen now 5 weeks in a row, and what the Treasury Secretary has to say here about our economy and inflation. And we literally have so many different states actually announcing new stimulus checks and anti-inflation stimulus checks. The Democrats are actually have proposed quarterly stimulus checks that would be paid out every 3 months because of how high gas prices are. So stimulus checks are back on the table. This would actually be monthly stimulus checks every 3 months here, because of how bad inflation is, and because of how bad the price of oil is, and the price of gas. And remember that President Biden just banned Russian oil, and now remember that has kind of made the price of oil really just seesaw and go crazy. President Biden actually just announced more sanctions. Check this out.
And as Putin continues his merciless assault, the United States and our allies and partners continue to work in lockstep to ramp up the economic pressures on Putin and to further isolate Russia on the global stage. Later today, together with other NATO allies in the G7, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, as well as the European Union, we're going to jointly announce several new steps to squeeze Putin and hold him even more accountable for his aggression against Ukraine. And I want to speak to a few of those points today. First, each of our nations is going to take steps to deny most favored nation status to Russia. A most favored nation status designation means two countries have agreed to trade with each other under the best possible terms: low tariffs, few barriers of trade, and the highest possible imports allowed. In the United States, we call this permanent normal trade relations, PNTR, but it's the same thing. Revoking PNTR for Russia is going to make it harder for Russia to do business with the United States, and doing it in unison with other nations that make up half of the global economy will be another crushing blow to the Russian economy. It's already suffering very badly from our sanctions. And I want to thank Speaker Pelosi, Leader McCarthy, Leaders Schumer and McConnell, and Senators Wyden and Crapo, Representatives Neal and Brady, for their bipartisan leadership on this in the Congress. I would like to offer a special thanks to Speaker Pelosi, who's been a strong advocate for revoking PNTR and who agreed to hold off on that in the House until I could line up all of our key allies to keep us in complete unison. Unity among our allies is critically important, as you all know, from my perspective at least. Many issues divide us in Washington, but standing for democracy in Ukraine, pushing Russia's aggression, should not be one of those issues. The free world is coming together to confront Putin. Our two parties here at home are leading the way. And with that bipartisan cooperation, I'm looking forward to signing into law the bill revoking PNTR, which is, again, most people think of it as most favored nation status. We're also taking a further step of banning imports of goods from several signature sectors of the Russian economy, including seafoods, vodka, and diamonds. And we're going to continue to squeeze Putin. The G7 will seek to deny Russia the ability to borrow from leading multinational institutions, such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Putin is an aggressor. He is the aggressor, and Putin must pay the price. He cannot pursue a war that threatens the very foundations, which he's doing, the very foundations of international peace and stability, and then ask for financial help from the international community. The G7 is also stepping up pressure on corrupt Russian billionaires. We're adding new names to the list of oligarchs and their families that we're targeting. And we're increasing coordination among the G7 countries to target and capture their ill-begotten gains.
Yeah, so you can see here the US is now suspending normal trade with Russia, not just oil. And also combining this with the G7 countries to suspend normal trade with Russia. And this also could be going even further with EU countries as well, further isolating Russia from the rest of the world. As Russia continues, the rest of the world is continuing with more and more sanctions to further cripple Russia's economy. This move requires an act of Congress, both the House and the Senate. But Biden said that Nancy Pelosi held off so that they could get all the other countries aligned to do it at the same time. And that Nancy Pelosi also says the House plans to vote next week on revoking Russia's trade status. She says that the legislation has already been prepared and the House plans to vote on it next week. Also, you know how Russians and Russian oligarchs and Putin are having assets seized by the US and other countries because of, well, what Putin is doing and is going on? Well, Russia's thinking about doing the same to businesses that operate in Russia. Check this out. But this could backfire on them because this might make world global businesses not ever want to do business there again. Check this out. You can see here from Axios American companies at risk of asset seizure in Russia as war drags on. Putin is saying now that companies that have even temporarily left Russia, like McDonald's, or any companies, BP, Shell, Exxon, anybody that has left, even temporarily, because who knows if they'll come back or not. Like McDonald's has temporarily closed all 850 of their locations in Russia, as has almost most of the companies in Russia now, right? Well, you can see here Russia is threatening to seize the businesses of Western companies that have withdrawn from the country after it invaded Ukraine, escalating the economic conflict running parallel to the war itself. More than 300 companies have announced they're exiting or pausing businesses in Russia. Companies that have pulled out or paused their businesses there include some of the most iconic brands such as McDonald's, Apple, and Nike. If their assets are seized, it would make it next to impossible for them to re enter the country if and when the geopolitical crisis subsides, likely forcing them to take losses if they haven't already. So think about if, we'll take McDonald's for example, think about if Putin decides to seize the land and all 850 McDonald's and then just open up his own McDonald's there. And imagine what that would do for every brand that sees that happen. They'll never want to do business in Russia ever again. It'd be like Putin shooting himself in the foot. I mean, what brand would see this happen and see Putin seize the assets of McDonald's, Apple, Nike? By assets, we mean anything left in the country, the buildings. And I mean, think about, I mean, we don't know if McDonald's is going to reopen in the future. I mean, right now they've just paused. We don't know if McDonald's is going to say a year from now, okay, reopen the stores. 2 years from now, reopen. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, reopen the stores, right? But if Putin seizes them, it's safe to say they're never going to reopen. I mean, he's literally just going to steal the land and the stores. I think it's safe to say that McDonald's would never reopen there again, along with Burger King and every brand ever, at least global brands. I mean, except for maybe Chinese brands. I mean, think about that. Think about that. That would be absolutely crazy. Yeah. I mean, he would almost be like hurting himself even more. What businesses would want to go back and do business there? Nobody. Nobody. I mean, no Western brands, no brands from the United States, no brands from Europe. Um, the only brands would be like Chinese brands, and even then, they'd have to really think about it. I mean, if Russia's economy even makes through this, I'd be very surprised. I mean, their dollar, the ruble, is just plummeting. Their stock market hasn't even reopened. I mean, I just don't think their economy is going to make it at this point. Who would want to invest in Russia? I don't know. I mean, but the problem is how do we get them to stop the war? That's the bigger problem here. I mean, unless their economy collapses enough and then they're forced to, the problem is they already. I don't know. We'll have to see. The other issue is that how long will this drag on? How long will the price of oil and gas be affected? And how high will that be affected? We've had some experts say that the price of oil, if this drags on, could go to $150 a barrel, $200 a barrel. We've seen headlines like this. Biden says he'd fight World War III for NATO, but not for Ukraine. So, I mean, they're literally talking about World War III right now, and that he would fight it for NATO, NATO countries, which they're actually bound by treaty to do here. So if Putin attacks any single NATO country, which there's 30 of them, and almost all of them are in Europe, right next to Russia, um, if that happens, we're immediately in World War III. And it's this type of stuff is really scary. And the question is this what it's going to even take to stop somebody like Putin? This is what it took in World War II to stop the other guy who was just like Putin. Yeah, so this is literally what Biden's saying right now. And he says he won't do it for Ukraine, not yet, at least. And will that change down the road? That's also what the U.S. said in World War II. And down the road, it ended up changing. Well, we all know why. So, that's the thing here is that the whole world's suffering because of this in different ways. Nobody as bad as Ukraine, but there's no winners in this. There's no winners in this. It's a tough thing to swallow here right now, and America's going to have to step up in multiple different ways. Even for people here at home right now, inflation's only going to get worse. We've seen 7.5% in January, 7.9% in February, and now in March. Imagine what it's going to be in March. We're looking at 8% plus, 8% for sure, and yeah, it's gonna be terrible, terrible, and we have a lot of different states actually proposing and issuing stimulus checks. Hopefully, you've seen my last video here with another state actually sending out money right now, actually money going out right now. I'll link you to that video here if you didn't see that yet. But we got a lot of different states actually sending out money right now. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We need to see more states doing that as well, because when states send out checks, that's a good thing because it's going out to pretty much the whole state. I mean, of course, not everybody gets it in the whole state sometimes, but we need to see more states issuing out checks to their people, and we need to see the federal government doing this as well. The child tax credits, fourth stimulus check, as well as Social Security raise, and just checks for low income American as well. I'll keep you up to date here with everything here on a daily basis. So make sure to click the subscribe button down below if you haven't yet. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on our new videos. Remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, you click this video here if you didn't see my last video about yet another state sending out checks right now. Those ones are pretty good. So click on that video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.